Right, this is just the news. I'm Faye D'Souza. This is a collection of all the important developments in our country and around the world, so you are adequately informed. This is our service to society. Let's get straight to it. The Haryana government has suspended mobile internet in the Karnal district of Haryana starting noon this afternoon until Tuesday midnight to maintain what they call law and order because of farmer protests. Now, you know the farmers have been protesting specifically in Haryana since the monsoon session of parliament last year passed those 3 farm laws that the farmers have been protesting against. They are now also protesting the death of one fellow farmer who the farm leaders claim died due to his injuries when the police beat him up in a lathi charge. Now, farmer unions in Haryana have demanded these things. They have called for an FIR against the Karnal SDM, Ayush Sinha, and the police officers. You'll remember that video where he was instructing police officers to break their heads. The farmers want an FIR registered against him and the police officers who were involved in that lathi charge, in which they say 40 farmers were injured. They want compensation and a government job for the family of Sushil Kajal, who was the farmer who died that night. They say he died because of injuries sustained during the police action. Financial assistance of 2 lakh rupees each for the injured farmers and free treatment in government hospitals. Now, the additional DGP of Law and Order had said, and I quote, he said that the main National Highway 44, which is the Ambala-Delhi highway, will see disruptions in the Karnal district. And so general public using that highway should avoid the journey and go to their destinations on the 7th of September by avoiding using different routes. Now, he also said elaborate arrangements are in place as per directions of the state government. Haryana police also appealed to farmers to maintain law and order and raise their issues peacefully. According to Hindustan Times, at least 40 companies of additional forces, 5 superintendent rank officials, 25 deputy superintendent rank officials, and thousands of cops will be deployed in Karnal. Meanwhile, in Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh, yesterday, thousands of farmers gathered for a protest meet. Now, we understand from reports that there were at least 300 farmer unions that were represented in this meeting, which means that there were over thousands of people. And just the visual of those many farmers gathered in one place was quite telling. The farmers have said that they will continue to protest against the laws brought in by the government. And they've also said that they will campaign against the BJP in the upcoming elections of state governments in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The event was organized by the Samyukta Kisan Morcha. Now, Bharatiya Kisan Union National Spokesperson Rakesh Tikait, and this is really his home ground where this meeting was held, he said that meetings like this will be held across the country and they will continue to protest if they have to right until the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. Now, the farmers made it clear that they would begin campaigning against the BJP in Uttar Pradesh and in Uttarakhand if their demands are not accepted. Now, this actually raised some questions questioning whether this entire farmer protest is political, since they're getting into elections, to which the farmer leaders responded to the media saying that since the government has ignored them for the last 1 year, they will do whatever is needed to get this government's attention, and that's why they're campaigning against the government. They said they plan to continue this agitation right up till 2024 until the national elections. One quote, in fact, says, and I thought the centre said only a handful of farmers are protesting. Let us raise our voices to reach the ears of those sitting in parliament. We understand the next meeting has been called in Lucknow to back the sugarcane growers. The Samyukta Kisan Morcha has also called for a Bharat Bandh on the 27th of September to push their cause further. Before we go on to the next story, I must issue a trigger warning. There are many distressing details in this crime story. I strongly recommend that if any of you are already facing distress, that you don't watch the news any further and you stop watching the video right now. The family of a 21-year-old civil defense volunteer whose body was found in the Surajkund forest on the 27th of August have demanded a CBI investigation into the matter. The young woman's death has been attributed to injuries caused by a sharp weapon. Her family insists that she was sexually exploited or raped before her murder. Now, the self-proclaimed murderer who has confessed and handed himself over to the police is one Nizamuddin, who claimed that he married his fellow defense volunteer without their family's consent, and their families didn't know they were married, but he suspected that she was having an affair with somebody else, and that is why he killed her. But we understand that the injuries that she sustained were brutal. On the 27th of August, he said he took her on his bike to the forest, where he slashed her neck and her chest and her head, and dragged her body into the underbush. According to the Times of India, the family wasn't aware that the victim had in fact married Nizamuddin. According to the Indian Express, the police have said the autopsy report does not confirm any sort of sexual assault. The report said the woman had 15 external injuries. 14 of them were incision wounds or stab wounds. One of them was a burnt mark. It mentions injuries to her vital organs, her neck, her head, her chest, and others. On Friday, the DCP of NIT Faridabad said that there is no mention of sexual assault in the post-mortem report. The body was not mutilated. Several injuries were inflicted on the body with a sharp object. There are several stab wounds, end quote. The DCP said the accused is going to be taken to police remand for interrogation. He has confessed to the crime. He's told the Delhi police that he married the victim in a court in Delhi. We will look into the allegations raised by the family to investigate. Now, the family is not happy with what the police have said. They demand a CBI investigation into the matter. According to IANS, which is the Indo-Asian News Service, mobile internet services may be restored in Kashmir this evening. Now, mobile internet there was a blockade on internet and voice calling services imposed in Kashmir as a precautionary measure after the death of separatist leader Saeed Ali Shah Gilani on Wednesday last week. The police have said internet connectivity is being restored in phases after evaluating the situation in the valley. According to the Hindustan Times, the order will not apply to Bugdam and Srinagar districts, where the internet will not be available even tonight. Kerala Health Minister Veena George has confirmed yesterday that a 12-year-old boy has died of the Nipah virus infection in Kerala. The central government rushed a team of the National Centre for Disease Control to the state. The team will provide technical support to the state. The minister said that Kerala saw a localized outbreak of 63 cases of the Zika virus in July. They managed to confine it only to Thiruvananthapuram. However, we shouldn't be so concerned, because the solution really for the Nipah virus is also masks and PPE kits, which is already in use. This is what she said. Meanwhile, neighboring Tamil Nadu has stepped up the vigil at the border. Health authorities are monitoring people who arrive from Kerala. According to WHO, the Nipah virus is a virus that moves from animals to humans. It can also be transmitted through contaminated food or directly between people. First recognized in 1999 in an outbreak in Malaysia. According to the CDC in America, 40 to 70% of the cases, they may be death, and long-term side effects of the survivors include persistent convulsions and personality changes. So it's quite a dangerous virus, but Kerala says it has it under control. Now, looking at India's COVID numbers, India reported 38,948 cases over the last 24 hours. That's about a 9% drop from what it was yesterday, but we've stayed in that 30 to 40,000 area for a while now. Our daily positivity rate is about 2.76%, and Kerala reported 19,688 new COVID cases as of Monday. In the meantime, and this is an important one, guys, the Kerala High Court has instructed the central government to allow the CoWIN portal to schedule the second dose of the Covishield vaccine within 4 weeks. Right now, the gap is about 84 days, which is, that's 90 days, almost 3 months, which is about, 16 weeks. But the High Court, in its order, which is dated the 3rd of September, made available today, said according to the Union Health Ministry's policy, people shall have a choice to get the early vaccine if they want, for implementation of which the vaccine to be distributed on payment basis through private hospitals as well. So the court has said that the central government is directed to make necessary provisions within the CoWIN portal to enable the scheduling of that second dose after 4 weeks of the first dose for those who want to basically have it after 4 weeks. That's going to be an interesting development if it does happen, because there is some confusion about the cause of that really wide gap between the two doses. One of the suggestions made by the chairperson of the Serum Institute of India is that the cause was really a shortage of vaccines and not really medical advice. Taking a look now at news coming in from across the world. According to the BBC, the Taliban have said they claim they have complete control over Panjshir, which is the Afghan province which was holding out against the Taliban because there was a resistance. There was a team there of fighters who were resisting the Taliban. The Taliban now claims they have control over that province. A Taliban spokesperson said, and I quote, "The valley has been cleared today completely." Fighters resisting Taliban rule, meanwhile, have disputed the claim and said the fighting continues. The leader of these fighters, Massoud, said he was open to peace talks. According to Reuters, pictures on social media showed Taliban members standing at the front gate of the provincial governor's compound after fighting over the weekend against the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, which is the front that's holding out against it. Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid on Monday claimed that he had been told that Ahmad Massoud, who is the leader of the resistance, and Vice President Amrullah Saleh have fled to neighboring Tajikistan. Massoud put out a Twitter message in which he said he was safe, but he didn't give any details of his location. There's a piece of positive news I have to give you today, which is really exciting. But before we get to that news, I must remind you that it is the anniversary today of the reading down of 377, when the Supreme Court of India effectively said that it is not illegal to be gay in our country. To have a same-sex relationship is not illegal in our country. And that really was a landmark judgment that changed many things. Now, in that Supreme Court judgment, the court also instructed that we should not discriminate against people who are members of the LGBTQIA community. They should be allowed to be themselves. But it has been a very, very long road to realize that part of the judgment. Now, here's one step closer to that. And this announcement has come from Axis Bank today. Axis Bank has announced that customers can now jointly open joint bank accounts with their same-sex partners. Now, until now, because same-sex relationships were not recognized as marriages, you were not allowed to open a joint bank account. And now Axis Bank has said that they can open a joint bank account. Apparently, this is part of their policy called Come As You Are. And this will be effective starting the 20th of September. Now, customers can also add MX to their title instead of Mr. or Miss or Mrs. if you happen to identify as non-binary or as gender fluid or as transgender. You no longer have to pick only between Mr. and Miss. There's MX also as an option on the Axis Bank forms. Plus, it also allows same-sex partners to name each other as nominees on their bank accounts as well, which is a massive step. Now, there are many other things that we need to do as a country in order to award our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQI community the equality that we enjoy, which includes give them the ability to adopt, give them the ability to marry, give them the ability to buy homes together, to take loans together, to actually be next of kin on hospital forms and be in charge of decisions for one another as well. So many things that same-sex couples don't have, which heterosexual couples take for granted. It's a long way to go, but maybe this is one step in that direction. So that's your dose of good news today. Thank you so much for listening to Just the News. Leave us your feedback. It's always a pleasure for me to hear from you. I sit and read the feedback myself. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.